If you're in the market for a single dose grinder, there is no doubt you would have come across the DF range, either the 54 or the 64. These are actually the Turin DF54 and 64s. So let's take a deeper dive and help you work out if this is the right grinder for you. The DF range has no doubt taken the coffee industry by storm. There's been a lot of iterations, and as they've been progressing, they've definitely been able to change the quality of their product and react very quick in the marketplace. So over the last couple of years, I think they've got up to 7 or 8 models now, and they're definitely listening to the customers. So it is a product that is made out of the Chinese market, but essentially we can't really put that as a negative because they have really helped push other manufacturers to be better at producing their product as well. So this is the current range of the DF grinders. You'll see we've got the DF54 here in black. At the moment, we are the only one to have the DF54 in white in Australia, so that's a fantastic opportunity for us. And we've got the DF64 here in white as well. So I get it, everyone's going to start and do their research as to what this product is and whether they like it or they don't. You're going to jump on the chats, and I'm going to answer the top 4 questions about this grinder after I go through some of the specs, because I know that's going to help you work out if this is the right grinder for you. So let's start with the DF54. Obviously 54 means what size burr set you've got. So these are running flat burr 54 stainless steel burr sets, and that is just a standard burr basically. They're not designed to be all for espresso or all for filter. It's just a really good all-rounder. Starting at the top of the grinder, you do have a nice timber little cap for your bellows, which is a silicon bellows, which is nice. So it does seal really well and pushes out all of that, any grind that might be inside the burr set once you've finished your dose. You do have an anti-popcorning device, which simply comes out. Now, if you don't like it, you can undo the screw and remove it, but it does really help keep those beans from jumping out and getting a better grind particle size. If you want to clean, it's nice and easy to get access to that top burr set by removing this. That allows you to see the burrs inside, and you can see the adjustment, and it is really nice and smooth. This collar is a stepless, so there's no holding back, half a grind or anything like that. So you can dial in very, very precise on your grind settings, and you can have right up towards your higher filter or plungers and get right down to espresso, and actually quite a fine espresso grind that we've found. So not Turkish, but it's definitely going to be a super fine. The body itself seems to be nice and sturdy, made out of a metal, which is great. And on the front, you have these little group handle or dosing pot holders. Now, to me, I think sometimes they could feel a little bit flimsy and look a little bit flimsy, but they do the job. So you can have your portafilter straight in, or you can use this little silicone attachment, which helps raise the supplied 58mm dosing pot, so that will go straight on top of your group handle to transfer your grinds into your portafilter handle, which fits in. It raises it up a little bit and tilts it back on an angle, and it just allows those grinds to get straight into the pot a little bit better. And to complete the pack with the 54, they do give you a little brush that allows you to get up inside that chute and give it a bit of a clean as well. So that's pretty handy. There's pretty much everything that you need to be able to take it home and start using it to make espresso. Now, talking a little bit more about dialing this grinder in and the use. Well, it is a single dose grinder. Now, if you're not sure what that means, that's okay. So basically it allows you to grind off the exact amount of beans that you would have for your cup that you're about to produce. So if you had a hopper on the top, we call that a hopper grinder. And that would allow you to have a big bag of beans, pour it in the top, and essentially as you press a button on the front, it would have a timed dose and then give you the right amount of coffee that you need for your group handle. But in this case, this is you pre-dosing and pre-weighing and putting an individual bean in so that the grinder is totally clean, and that allows you to perhaps use a single origin coffee, then a dark roast coffee or a decaf perhaps, and change up very easily in between your grinding, because past the burr sets or a hopper grinder, generally there's a lot of build up in there and you can waste a lot of coffee having to clean them out. So I hope that helps you understand whether a hopper or a single dose grinder is right for you. On the grind adjustment dial, it is really smooth, and 90 is going to be your coarsest and 0 is going to be your finest. So when you're setting these up, you want to obviously head towards the finer side, but you don't want to go so fine that you block these up. With a simple on and off operation, you can't get much easier when you're trying to grind coffee. Now, there's a couple of things about whether you start this and then put the beans in, or you put the beans in then start it, which I'm going to answer that question in just a moment. So then you've got the bigger brother in the 64. Here we've got it in the white. It does come in a black as well, and I believe there's an 84 as well, which we just haven't had access to just yet, so couldn't get one for today. But essentially it's just a bigger burr set. It's a 64mm stainless steel set of burrs as well. All the same features in the build quality, the bellow, the timber are all the same. The anti-popcorning device is exact as the same as well. But a few of the little things that start to change is that you do now have an adjustable grind indicator. So you can undo a little screw here, and this little device comes off and allows you to realign wherever you choose it to be. So that's a handy option if you're just trying to track a certain number or where you start or end at in a particular day. You get a couple of upgrades in the dosing pot that comes with it. It is an aluminium one, and there is an extension part that comes on top as well. There's a couple of silicon O-rings here which allow you to join those together, and it's a 58mm. So it's good to see that they brought a bit more durability to a higher end model. Now we had a bit of a play, and this top section can go straight on top of your portafilter, and that allows you to have it a bit closer in a 58mm to the chute where the grinds are coming out, and it can help funnel the grinds straight into the handle. You get yourself a misting bottle and a brush. Now the brush is fine, that's great, but the misting bottle is something that you want to consider. And I think when you're using a DF54, you should grab yourself one of these as well. So what does that do? Well, when you're grinding, you create static. And these grinders do have a little bit of a tendency to get a little bit of static and come up through the chute. Now, if you're trying to get 20 grams of beans in the top and end up with a 20 grams out, you want to reduce the static the best you can. The 64 does have an anti-clumping and anti-static device inside the chute, but the best way to do it is to use a little misting bottle or an RDT, put a mist into the beans, give them a bit of a shake up, and then grind them, and that's going to help you reduce that static. If you do remove your burr set to give it a bit of a clean on the inside, which you should do regularly, it allows those beans to go all the way through and not have any build up. There is a new sort of wave washer that's inside here, a wave spring washer, whatever you might call it, which actually allows a little bit of tension on that burr set. It's a little bit nicer than the earlier models. On the 54, you do have to remove this little indicator knob, which is what tells you what grind setting you're on, if you want to remove that totally. But on the 64, that does come straight off individually because your grind indicator can be removed separately. Well, everyone loves a good surprise. Pulling apart the 64 has shown me that these are not a standard stainless steel burr set. You can see clearly there is a difference between the two. Do I know what this is? I have no idea. It looks like some sort of coating on it, maybe a titanium or a carbon or something like that. I really don't know, and I don't have that answer for you right now. So if you know what that burr set is, let us know in the comments below. I'd love to know what they've done with that latest generation of 64 grinder. So I'm gonna run 10 grams of coffee through just to give you an idea of what the noise is like. We can hear the grinder running now. It's got a bit of a hum going to it. Let's pop this in. There you go. It is a big electric motor. There is that buzz that's going along. You know, it's a little bit loud, but you know, I expect grinders to be noisy. Anyone that expects grinders to be quiet, I think you're being a bit silly, to be honest. So let's do the 54 in comparison. So we'll turn on the grinder just normal. It's certainly a lot quieter. Putting the bellow on did make it a little bit quieter as well. There you go, that was quite a coarse grind as well, more like a filter. And we can use our bellow there just to show those grinds coming out. Now, for those of you who had a keen eye, you would have seen that I didn't use the bellow on this grinder. So I'm going to do it now because I want to show you how much actually comes out. So I basically just ground out my 10 grams, and now if I give it a couple of puffs, you'll see how much is still left in there. So I'm going to turn the grinder back on. There you go. Bit of grind all over the bench. So that's why you have a bellows. It actually allows you to push those little bits of grind past the burr sets and through the chambers right into your cup. So that would probably be maybe half a gram or something like that difference. So that's what makes a bellows special in a single dose grinder. So to answer some of those really common questions that are all over the blog sites, the first one is about clogging. Now, what I found is that people have been, what you might not be doing is called hot starting. Now, basically that means that you turn the motor on, then pop your beans in. What that does is it means that you've got 100% speed as that bean is coming in to catch on that burr set and throw that grind all the way through and out through the chute. So that is something I would highly recommend with these grinders. If you're using a very light roast coffee, and I mean super light, I would go to the 64. You've got a bigger motor and a bigger burr set to handle those finer grinds and denser coffees. When the 54, it'll handle them, but you definitely want to be doing a hot start with those. We did find that with some people who took these home, weren't doing hot starting and into some lighter roast, so they started to clog it up a little bit, but they had no idea. So that is the recommendation from us to help you get a better use in these grinders. The next question is do I need to align the burr sets? Look, to be honest, in older models, that was a thing across a lot of grinders. Manufacturers have really realized that they need to do this a little bit better. And upon inspection on these models, we don't have any of those issues. So I don't believe you need to do it. You might actually undo some of the work that's already been done. In terms of failures, we have sold so many of these grinders so far. It's been phenomenal, to be honest. Everyone's really happy with them, and we do a bench test on every grinder before it goes out. We turn them on, we make sure that they can grind at espresso or at filter, then we clean them back up, pop them in the boxes, and we've had no issues at all. So that has been a real tick. In terms of a Chinese-made product, reliability or not, so far we haven't had any problems with the grinders. Noise is the other one, which I did give you a demonstration before. I don't think these are very noisy grinders. If you've got the bellow on and the lid on, it's definitely going to be a lot quieter. But to be honest, everyone thinks they're trying to find a coffee grinder that's not going to wake up their partners in the house early in the morning. If that's really your problem, maybe grind off some coffee the night before, so at least you can get your first cup and not wake someone else up in the house. But a grinder's going to have some sort of noise. If you want to be super quiet, get yourself a hand grinder perhaps and enjoy that process as you grind out for your first cup. And the last one is, what do the burr sets taste like? Well, this 64, I can't tell you because I'd tasted them with the stainless steel. These seem to be a little bit different, so I don't know that profile. If anything, it's only going to be better than before. With the DF54, we do find there's some good balance between body and acidity in there, whether you're doing espresso or you're doing your filter brews. It's a good all-round burr set. You know, if you keep pumping lots and lots of coffees through here, that metal's going to heat up and definitely start to change the flavor. If that's the kind of thing that you're looking at in a small entry-level, very reasonably priced single dose grinder, and I think this is the best one on the market, there's no doubt about it, for that kind of money, you're probably looking at the wrong product. If you want to do volume, go to the bigger one or look at bigger grinders. So couple of cups a day or in the morning, you're going to have no problems at all and have plenty of flexibility to dial in a whole range of coffees. So there you go, Turin DF54 and 64 grinders. They are a hot item at the moment, there's no doubt about it, and a lot of talk out there. I do believe that that is something you should look at. We've had a lot of different other products in single dose grinders. This market continues to evolve, and these guys have been bringing out new evolutions and new models to keep up with everyone's demands. So I think they're doing a fantastic job. The price points for these are fantastic. The normal RRP here in Australia is $5.99 on the 54, and you're looking at $9.99 on the 64. But to be honest, we're sitting around $8.49 at the moment, and just over that $425 mark on these products at the moment as well. So that's fantastic value. With 12 months warranty, you can't really go wrong. Anyway, if you've got any other questions or comments about the Turin range, hey, pop them down below. I'd love to answer those ones for you. Thanks very much for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do. We really appreciate it. It helps us grow the channel, and we'll look forward to catching you next time. Cheers.